Hello, my name is Morgan. Welcome back to my channel. I don't know about you, but this season, the past month or so, has been very stressful and my mood is kind of going down as the leaves fall from the trees and the weather gets cold and gloomy and the pandemic just keeps going on and on. But there are two things that are huge de-stressors for me, and I've also been doing these two things a lot lately. One of which is reading, particularly fiction, particularly fantasy, sci-fi, speculative stories that take me out of my own world. And the second thing that's a big de-stressor for me is shopping for books and buying books. So been doing a lot of both of those things and it's been really great. Therefore, I thought I would do like a midterm book haul. None of these are school books, like these are all for de-stressing. School books are a whole other world that maybe I will do a video on one day. But today I wanted to sit down and have a chat with you about the books that are inspiring me lately, that are calling to me from the shelves of the library and little libraries in my neighborhood and the bookstores. So first, let me start with the library books, because if you need some shopping therapy, but you don't want to spend any money and you don't want to clutter up your space any more than it already is, then the library is your best friend. You can just shop the bookshelves, maybe check out the new fiction section, search for interesting topics on the computer and then go find the books. Actually, I don't even have on this stack some of the books I picked up from the library the other day because they're all just like Vogue knitting books and learn to knit books, because that's another de-stress activity I've picked up this season is knitting. But the two library books that I just hauled that I wanted to show you are both translated works of fiction, but I've just been generally having a good time with library books. I already read Dark Matter by Blake Crouch and Vita Nostra by Marina and Sergei Dyachenko, and I'm in the middle of The Library at Mount Char right now, and all of those have been wonderful reads. So I'm gonna keep this library train rolling. The first library book is Tender is the Flesh by Agustina Bazterrica. I probably have horrible pronunciation on that, but the book is originally written in Spanish, translated to English, originally published in 2017 and then translated in 2020. Wow, just last year. Look at that. This, I guess, is kind of dystopian, I believe. A virus has either killed off non-human animals or just made them poisonous to humans, and so in some cases, humans have resorted to eating human flesh. And it looks like it follows Marcos, who works at a local processing plant in the business of slaughtering humans. So it's looking like this is going to be some social, political commentary, and I'm very excited to pick this one up. This is next on my list because it has to go back to the library soon. Very closely following that is Drive Your Plow Over the Bones of the Dead. Great title. By Olga Tokarczuk. Again, probably terrible pronunciation. Apparently this book won the Man Booker International Prize, and Tokarczuk is the 2018 Nobel Prize in Literature winner, so I'm certain this is going to be a phenomenal book. I honestly don't really know what it's about. Originally written, I think, in 2009, and then the translation was 2018. Let's see what we're in for. In a remote Polish village, Janina devotes the dark winter days to studying astrology, translating the poetry of William Blake, and taking care of the summer homes of wealthy Warsaw residents. Her reputation as a crank and a recluse is only amplified by her not-so-secret preference for the company of animals over humans. Then a neighbor, Bigfoot, turns up dead. Soon other bodies are discovered in increasingly strange circumstances. As suspicions mount, Janina inserts herself into the investigation, certain that she knows who done it. Oh wow, so it's a thriller. That's very exciting. I love thrillers and mysteries. Okay, next let's go to the one that I found in a free little library. There's this one free little library in my neighborhood that's like triple story, and it's outside a giant apartment building, and it often has good stuff. I literally got 3 of the Dune sequels all at once from this little library. Don't worry, I give back to the library too. But Guess what I found? A brand new looking copy of Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. This has been sort of on my radar because everyone on BookTube is talking about it, and I watched the Shadow and Bone series on Netflix, although I haven't read the books. I don't read a lot of YA, but I found out that Leigh Bardugo has written an adult book, so I figured that's worth a shot. See what all the hype is about around Leigh Bardugo. Again, I don't really know what this is about, but I believe it is dark academia. Galaxy Alex Stern is the most unlikely member of Yale's freshman class. Raised in Los Angeles hinterlands by a hippie mom, Alex dropped out of school early and into a world of shady drug dealer boyfriends, dead-end jobs, and much, much worse. In fact, by age 20, she's the sole survivor of a horrific unsolved multiple homicide. Some might say she's thrown her life away, but at her hospital bedside, Alex is offered a second chance to attend one of the world's most prestigious universities on a full ride. What's the catch, and why her? Spooky. It looks like there's going to be occult activities and secret societies, raising of the dead. Oh my. Well, that concept doesn't particularly call to me, but willing to give it a go. Stephen King says that it's impossible to put down, so let's find out if he's right. The next two books are actually nonfiction. We have, firstly, by Gia Tolentino, Trick Mirror, Reflections on Self-Delusion. Picked this one up for a couple of reasons. First reason of which is that the front cover design is a playing card, and my partner loves magic and cardistry. We have a whole bunch of books on magic and card manipulations on our shelf there, so I just thought it was pretty. And I love this upside down design, especially combined with this idea that it's reflections on self-delusion, which ties very well into the mirror concept and magic, and it's all just working for me, this book identity. And I haven't read any other Gia Tolentino, but she is a Toronto, Ontario born author, which is cool, and she writes for, I think, The New Yorker, and has been a deputy editor of Jezebel and a contributing editor at The Hairpin. Her writings appeared in the New York Times Magazine and Pitchfork, etc. So the topics that she's covering are also just of interest to me, and I think are going to be pretty cathartic to hear her talk about. So this is a series of essays that I think are really going to vibe with me, but we'll see. Maybe I'll make a separate video on them at a later date. The second nonfiction is Cultish by Amanda Montell, subtitled The Language of Fanaticism. And Amanda Montell, she wrote this during the pandemic, I believe, and she has a degree in linguistics. And so it's about the language that cults use. And she went and researched and pulled out the language and analyzed it. But I was really interested in reading this book because of Amanda Montell's podcast, Sounds Like a Cult. I highly recommend it. Each episode is devoted to a group or a following that sounds kind of culty, and they ask the question, is it a cult? Or what level of cult is this thing on? They discuss everything from Tony Robbins to SoulCycle. It's super good, so I'm excited to learn more. And the last two books are both fiction. I'm super excited about them. I just picked them up this past weekend at Chapters. The first one is Senlin Ascends, which is the first part in, I believe, a 4-part series called The Books of Babel. It's by Josiah Bancroft. It was originally indie published, but then was picked up by Orbit, and I think it just got famous through word of mouth. But I've heard a couple booktubers talk about this and describe it as fantasy and as weird, and typically when something is described as weird fantasy, I'm gonna like it. That is what I am realizing, because I loved Vita Nostra and I am loving The Library at Mount Char, and both of those books could be considered weird or bizarre. So if this is anything like those, then I think I will absolutely love it. It's about a man named Thomas Senlin who he goes on a honeymoon with his new bride, and very quickly he loses her, and so he has to go into the Tower of Babel to try to find her. But it is full of unusual stuff. It says, this quiet man of letters must become a man of action. Pretty excited to start this series. Hopefully I like the first one and I can go all the way through. I also really like the cover art of all of the books. And the last book from this haul that I wanted to share with you is called The Listeners. It's by Jordan Tannehill. It has wonderful French flaps. And deckled edges, very gorgeous. Jordan Tannehill is a Canadian author. He semi-recently started writing novels, but I first knew him as a playwright. I love Jordan Tannehill's plays. He won a Governor General's Literary Award for drama, and he also won an award for his play Late Company, which I was lucky enough to see an early staged reading of, and then I also saw the full production mounted at the Baby Grand Theatre in Kingston, Ontario. And I've seen a bunch of different works by Tannehill, and I've really enjoyed all of them. So I read his first book, Liminal, when it came out, but I don't really remember it. I mean, maybe it was just not very memorable, but hopefully I enjoy the listeners. I do think I prefer this concept. It says, the innocuous noise begins causing Claire headaches, nosebleeds, insomnia, gradually upsetting the balance of her life, though no obvious source or medical cause can be found. And then this noise it's being heard by other people, and those people find each other and create this unlikely community with each other. It says, it's an exhilarating novel exploring the lure of the wild and unknowable, the human search for the transcendent, the rise of a conspiracy culture in the West, and the desire for community and connection in our increasingly polarized times. Sounds great. Cool cover. Love him as a playwright, so let's hope this is a really good one. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. Thank you for listening to me talk about the books that I'm planning on reading coming up, that I've picked up from the library or from the bookstore, and I'll see you in another video. Happy reading, everybody!